Welcome everybody to Forza Motorsport 7, and today we're taking a look at the 1978 Ford Mustang 2 King Cobra. Now this is part of the second generation, which was produced between 1973 and 1978, and because it's based on the Pinto platform, it's 19 inches shorter than the previous generation while also being lighter. And yeah, this sold 1.1 million units, so it's quite a successful car despite being around a very short amount of time. With this version being a limited edition version, only available in 1978, with 4,313 being made. And yeah, I'm not going to be wholly positive about this car because at the end of the day I do not like it one bit, but it does have some plus points. It's really rather roomy on the interior, as you can see, plenty of room in the back for 2 passengers, and pretty decent up front as well. And because it's a hatchback, it's got a fair bit of practicality in terms of luggage compartment space as well, so that's all good. And yeah, it also weighs very little as well at 2,669 pounds, but unfortunately that's where the positive elements come to a grinding halt, as yeah, and I know looks is all about opinion, so it's not fact, but I hate the look of this car. The wheels are too small, the arches are too big for wheels that are nowhere near big enough. It's ugly at the front. It's got some nice decals, but they really are cashing a check that they can't, go forward with. And yeah, it's just really rather ugly. It's got just nothing on it that I don't like in terms of looks whatsoever. Just looks really rather uninspired and boring, especially in comparison to the revolutionary first generation Mustang. And yeah, then we come to the engine. Now this is the biggest engine that you get in the car, because as there were 2 other engines available, a 2.3 litre inline 4 and a 2.8 litre V6, but this being a 4.9 litre V8 does not mean that it's powerful, as it only has 139 horsepower and 250 pounds-feet of torque. Decent amount of torque, but very, very poor on the horsepower front there. Even a Ford Bronco from a few years before this had more than 200 horsepower. So yeah, this is a pony / muscle car that really has no reason to be called either, because it's not got the engine to back it up. Even this first generation Mustang in the first year had nearly 300 horsepower, and it wasn't even all that much in terms of weight, whereas this has a lack of weight, which is always a good thing. It means it handles better, it will brake better, and it can make a good use of that power. But when it's not got the power as well, then yeah, you're really in for a really rather shallow time. And then the fact that it's based on the Pinto platform means that handling wise it isn't all that great, despite not weighing all that much. And yeah, it's not really imposing or all that unique in terms of how it looks either. It just blends into every other car from the period, if I'm honest. And interior wise, well, you got some nice white on black gauges. You can see your fuel, your altimeter, your temperature nicely. It's got some nice chrome inside, but yeah, it's really rather barren in here. But then again, late 70s, not much was going on in terms of technology on interiors, but still, could have done something a little bit more special in here, especially since this is at least a limited edition version. So yeah, overall a major disappointment, and it gets even worse when we get out onto the track to drive it. So I'll see you when we get there. Right, so we're at Lime Rock for a couple of laps to see what this car is capable of, though in reality not very much, as yeah, it's got a really rather asthmatic engine. And I know we've got to look at this somewhat in the context of the time period when emissions were coming down on car companies and the like, but this is Ford. They had all the money in the world, they had all the expertise in the world, being around for many, many decades. So there's really no excuse for coming out with something like this, especially when it's your flagship model, and even more so when this is a limited edition version. And yeah, handling wise, well, the car rolls around a fair bit, which is to be expected from an American car at this time period, but it also understeers a fair bit, and yeah, the brakes really don't induce all that much in the way of confidence, which makes me thankful that this car does weigh very little. Acceleration wise, well, that's really rather bad. 0 to 60 in 8.9 seconds, 0 to 100 in 28.2 seconds. Though there's not much reason to get to 100 because you only got a top speed of 121 miles an hour, so yeah, really rather poor on that front, and engine doesn't sound all that great either. As you can hear, it's just a rumble. It's nowhere near as charismatic as the previous Mustang or future Mustangs, and it doesn't even rev to 5,000 RPM. So yeah, there really isn't much go in this Mustang as far as I'm concerned, and yeah, add all that onto the fact that it doesn't even look great, and then you've got a really recipe for a disaster, quite frankly. Now sure, it's got practicality on its side, and it's not very much in terms of weight, but that's, yeah, like I said, they're the only real plus points for going for this car. And being based on the Pinto platform doesn't also induce all that much confidence in terms of driving it for real life, because if this has the same fatal flaw as the Pinto, get rear-ended and you'll explode into a fireball, then yeah, you really wouldn't want to be driving around in this as fast as it can go. So yeah, major disappointment, and it's no surprise that this was only around for a few short years, with the third generation being introduced after this year, and that lasted until the early 90s. So yeah, that was a far more successful car. Whatever you can say about the looks of that vehicle, I'm perfectly fine with them, even if they were a little bland, but I'd rather go for bland than downright ugly. It at least had a far better limited edition version going for it in the form of the SVT Cobra, and yeah, that was a far better handling vehicle while also being far faster. So yeah, don't really like this car. I'm glad it's on the game though. I'm glad it's on any Forza game, quite frankly, because it does add some variety to it, and I wish we did have more crap 70s cars, quite frankly, because there were a lot of awful cars in the 70s, and I wish we had more of them, because I find awful cars somewhat interesting, but this, as awful as it is, isn't quite as interesting as some of the real stinkers from the decade, because even though it's got a lot of things wrong with it, it's not so bad that I really want to hate it so much. It just comes well below average, and yeah, for a Mustang, average at best is not good enough, never mind being below it. So yeah, major disappointment, and yeah, which is pretty much like most sequels, to be honest, fail to capture the spirit of the original while feeling more like just a cash-in, and yeah, this certainly was that. Nonetheless, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.